So let's start with what I think should be the easy topics for tonight. We'll start with the sending of Matt Poitras down to Providence. Now, I'm not quite sure I understand, because no one's explained to us the rationale for sending him back down to Providence. I can theorize myself why I think he may have been sent down to Providence, but I'd like to get your take before I throw my 2 cents in.
So when I first saw the tweet from the Bruins saying that he'd been assigned, and I didn't even think of it as even possibly being a paper transaction. And of course, it was confirmed later on that it wasn't a paper transaction, that he did indeed stay behind while the team flew out to St. Louis. My initial reaction was a little bit of puzzlement. And I immediately posted on Threads that this is very reminiscent of the meme of the woman with the small bucket of water trying to throw it onto a giant flame. Is it going to do anything for the team? No, 100% nothing. The only thing that I can think of, because I haven't heard, and maybe you have, Maria, but I haven't heard of anyone being called up in his stead. So I don't know who's taking place for tonight's game. We are recording before the St. Louis game. Yeah. So it's not like they sent him down to bring somebody else up.
Right. And that would be the logical approach, you would think, right?
Right. The only thing I can think of is that it is purely for his own benefit, for whatever reason. Now, we've talked a little bit about this in past episodes. Actually, I think we even talked about this last week. The question mark of, is he, when he's out there on the ice, is he playing in a way that is protecting of himself, right? We've talked about this, how he's got to be a little bit more careful in that sense. And the idea has been floated out in various places. Maybe he should go and spend a little bit more time down in Providence to kind of work on that. And so that was in the back of my mind, but also what this kind of told me was they're pulling him from the lineup, and instead of just having him be a scratch where he does nothing, scratch him, but send him to Providence so he's still getting ice time and he's still being physically active. But that then makes me question, well, how long do you plan to not have him up? And do you really think that that is some kind of impactful solution to the larger problem? Because I guess I'm questioning the motivation. What's the MO here? Like, again, you didn't call anybody up in his place. If somebody was coming up, if it was a cap thing and they were like, you know what, we just got to do a little bit of fancy footwork and we got to send you down, whatever, like that would make sense to me. But I think that's what is really giving me pause and questioning what is the plan here, because I'm also then wondering, why him? He's one of your fastest players on the roster at this point. He has a level of jump that we have not seen from most of these players. And so he's the one that you're going to sit and send down? Him. When in my mind, and we've talked about this already quite a bit, you've got bigger fish to fry with some other higher profile players who are not either doing their job or they're doing a bad job with the things that they've been assigned. And I keep looking at David Pastrnak and, Chucky, Charlie McAvoy, and I'm questioning what is happening here and why is the coaching staff not making more aggressive moves, decisions, changes around these guys. I just think it's, they're getting wrapped up in piddly little things that I don't think are actually in the long run going to make a difference, as opposed to addressing some of the larger problems with these key players. For the love of God, and I know you're probably going to bring this up later, but we got to get Charlie McAvoy off of power play one.
He sucks.
I've seen
No, he sucks.
Enough.
I'm sorry, Charlie, but you suck as the quarterback of a power play unit. Yeah, and we're going to get to that because we're actually going to play a little game, folks, called the blame game during the course of this podcast. So there's enough blame pie to go around here. And it's not exclusive to just players. Players need to play. Coaches need to coach. And we're gonna tie all of that in during round one of our blame game. With regard to Matt Poitras, my theory, and again, it's just my theory, because I know that I've said this in social media, I've said it on our podcast. He is not long for the NHL if he does not learn to not put himself in vulnerable positions and keep his head up. Now, given the way this team is currently playing, the Bruins can ill afford, with having a young player like this, who is a good player, has the potential to be a good player. And you have to view them as a future and as an asset. It sounds kind of cold, but they're an asset, these players.
Right.
They need to protect him from himself. And the fact of the matter is, he's not protecting himself, and we're not really seeing the players around him protecting him. So they can't risk having this kid take the next hit or the next hit after that as another hit that's going to put him out for a significant period of time after he's just recovering still from this shoulder surgery that he had, right? So that's and people lost their minds on social media, rightly so, right? Fire Monty, fire Sweeney. Why does, you're going to bring Geeky back in and send this kid down? But I honestly think it's more because they need to fix. They need to
protect him.
Correct. But they need to fix this team first so they can put him in the best position to succeed with the big boy club. Yeah. And he's better.
I think it was just a case of, it's optics, right?
No, it is always. Yes.
The timing, the lack of
Have you met the Boston Bruins? Have you met the Boston Bruins?
I know. Yeah. I was taken aback. Purely, I think, because of the timing of the announcement.
Because we're thinking, who's coming up?
That's going to fix
him down.
That's
who's coming up? Right. And even Monty said, he, Matt Poitras, amongst many other players, has gotten very quiet in recent games, right? They're not seeing the production that they might have been expecting from him, coupled with he took some hits, right? They weren't dirty hits, but they were hits that you've got to know that that's coming, young man. Right. You've got to learn that, and he's probably better suited because honestly, I'm not sure that the Bruins have time to teach that right now because they've got bigger fish to fry with this team.
Yeah.
So
And they
put the
and I
kid
imagine
in a safe and successful environment.
And I imagine they want to give him the ability to grow some of his confidence because of some struggles, and he has the luxury kind of to be able to get sent down to the AHL where he is, I sure as hell hope, would be a top talent. And so he's going to get a ton of minutes. He's going to get that conditioning that maybe he can't get right now because when things are bad, the coaching staff is going to look to and rely on their top players. So those are the people who are going to get the most minutes. And so it is a win-win. And I would say if the Bruins hadn't had such a horrible showing at the end of that Senators game, nobody would have batted an eye to the, sending down of Matt Poitras. Nobody would have batted an eye because I think we all understand kind of what's going on, like with the sending of him down. But the other half of that equation is very confusing because it's, well, okay, you're sending him down to Providence for his benefit. Great. But
that's my theory. I'm not saying that's just my theory, right?
Yeah.
Just full
but like,
disclosure,
what is though the benefit to the Bruins? Because nobody came up in his place. So like, I understand the investment in the future, but the house is on fire right now. And again, you're the old woman with the small bucket of water trying to throw it onto this massive kitchen fire. Like,